Phil Danault's the big one, the big question mark this summer. And I don't even think it's a question mark of if he's coming back. It's what is the money in term?
Right.
And I don't want to talk exact numbers for him because I just don't want to make it weird if we get him on the show or anything. But you got to think he's coming back.
Yeah, I mean, a French guy. He loves the team. He loves his role. There's something to be said that just being happy in your role and accepting it. And he's done that extremely well. I'm in the minutes he was playing are just incredible. Like you're going to go to another team, and if he goes to UFA and he chases the money, like you're going to go to another team, you're probably going to play in the third line, and you're probably going to play 12, 13 minutes a night. Yeah. You're not going to play anywhere near what you were playing on Montreal. So I think that's a big factor for him. And I don't think he wants to leave. What did you think of the comments where he said the contract leak earlier kind of affected his game? What did you think of that? I just kind of a two-part question. What did you think of it? And would you be scared to give a guy that kind of money if he was struggling when the offer was there, as opposed to when you do sign a contract of that magnitude and the pressure of having now to perform up to that level? What's your thoughts on that?
So it's a great point too. I'll tackle the second part where he's offered that money and he kind of crumbles under the pressure. And that's not a chirp. It's just,
no, he admitted, he said it himself.
Yeah. So essentially, and that's the thing with Montreal, especially in Montreal, is you start getting paid that money and you're not look at the shit Carey Price has to go through. And now being a Quebec-born kid and you're getting rumored for that number, and let's say you did take that number, the pressure is going to be on. So I don't know. But one thing too that I'm interested in on his comments was he said he denied it because he wanted to see how his ice time would evolve with Susie and KK. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure. I don't think you know him personally, and you've said that you've mentioned this before. With Danault, it's not as, everybody wants money. Yes, they want their big payday. Mm-hmm. But I think he wants to stay a Hab too. So I could see him maybe being smart about his contract where he's not making these big bucks as he eventually gets down to the third line C. He might even go, okay, this is what I'm worth now. Now that I see what Suzuki and KK are doing, or XYZ, whoever it is, maybe he's just maybe he doesn't want to get stuck in that situation where he's paid too much and then gets all that hate. Mm-hmm. That's just where my thinking's at. And it'd be crazy. I know some people are going to call me an idiot, who turns down more money? But you open yourself up to some criticism if you take X amount when you know you're going to be, let's say, I'll say 2 or 3C in a couple of years, probably next year. I think Susie's the one now, but
yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see the way they play him. He has to sit here and think, okay, Suzuki's only getting better, KK is only getting better. They're going to command more minutes. They're going to command more responsibility, and the team will need them to be successful. Yeah. Are you okay being in that 3-hole playing that, 13, 14 minutes, maybe a little more, I don't know. He's a guy, to me, he's very prideful. He wants to win more than money. He's one of those guys, winning is more important to him, which I respect the shit out of. It's a tough situation. When that offer came out, what is it, 6 years, $24 million?
Yeah, it was 5 times 6 or something, or
it was big. It was
over 20 million.
Yeah, it was big. And I think on the open market after the playoffs he could probably get pretty close to that. I think there's some team that's going to bend over and really fork out the money. But
do you pay a 3C that much, though? And this is not an insult to him, just because he prides himself on defense, right? Because he doesn't have the offensive numbers. He's such a big conundrum where he can play third line, his wingers can be third line guys, but he can play against top line players, which is I find he's in a weird spot where I'm not familiar with many guys that have gone through contract talks and does what he does. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree. And that's the way I look at it is interesting. It's okay, if he goes to the market, now how are they going to gauge it on Phil Danault that we saw in the playoffs? When most teams negotiate contracts, it's comparisons. Okay. I pay this guy this much. He had this many goals, this many assists, this many points. I don't care how good you were as a shutdown guy. If you think you're going to make this much money, this guy shuts people down and he has this many points, or a team just might absolutely love him and how about a team like Edmonton? If Edmonton could have him in their 3 spot, like
Yeah.
they would have to find a way to make some money, like make it work. But like a guy like that, you're sitting there as Kenny Holland in Edmonton, you're like, man, like 1, 2, 3 looks pretty good with him in your 3 hole. And I think he would fit in really nice in a lot of teams' 3 hole. But again, how much are you paying? Like if you're going on comparisons, which how people judge contracts, like I don't know, like it's really hard to compare to guys saying, you're worth 4 or 5 million when you don't have the numbers to match it. So I think if he stays in Montreal, he probably gets more money for the buck because they know what he can do, and they love him and they know his fit here. It's going to be interesting.
Maybe they go longer term. That way he gets his payday and they keep the AAV down.
Yeah, that was going to be my question to you. Do they do an 8-year deal with him?
Like a Nuge?
Like it would be. I don't see him going that long. He's how old is Phil now? He's what birthday is he?
29, I think he's a 93.
93?
I think so. I could be wrong. But I think like if he wants a little bit more money, maybe Montreal goes 5-6 year deal rather than a few. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's going to be.
You got to think because you got Paling coming up too.
Mm-hmm. And I'm a huge Paling fan.